Is the magic gone? For decades, Walt Disney World wasn't just a vacation spot. It was a dream. It was where family traditions were born, where parents saved for years just to watch their kids hug Mickey Mouse, and where the lines were so long they became part of the experience itself. The crowds were legendary. The fireworks felt like a once-in-a-lifetime event, even if you saw them every year. And yet, in 2025, something has shifted. Guests are noticing shorter lines. Social media is buzzing with videos of empty walkways. Crowd calendars that once warned of crushing traffic now show softer days. And that raises a haunting question. Is Disney World losing its spark? Or, more dramatically, is the most magical place on Earth starting to feel empty? The answer is complicated. Because what we're really seeing in 2025 is not a collapse, not even a true attendance plunge, but a paradox. The parks look quieter. The lines feel shorter. The internet insists that Disney is struggling. And yet, behind the scenes, the financial numbers tell a very different story. Disney's parks are not only surviving, they're thriving. But to understand how both things can be true at the same time, we have to dig into a perfect storm of rising prices, shifting expectations, cultural perception, and for the first time in decades, competition strong enough to make Disney sweat. But let's start with the first and perhaps most obvious factor: money. Disney has never been cheap, but over the last decade, the costs have climbed into a new stratosphere. Back in 2015, a ticket to the Magic Kingdom cost just over $100. By 2025, that number has ballooned to nearly $180. Epcot and Hollywood Studios aren't far behind. Parking, once an afterthought, has jumped by more than 90%. And the once beloved Fast Pass system, which allowed guests to skip some lines for free, is long gone. In its place, Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. These services require an additional fee, one that feels less like a perk and more like a tax on convenience. For many families, the Disney vacation has shifted from tradition to a luxury purchase. It's no longer something every family can do every few years. Instead, it's becoming a bucket list trip, the kind you save for once in a lifetime. For those who can still afford it, there's a sense of exclusivity. But for others, it feels like the magic has been priced out of reach. And when parents who once went every summer start saying, "We'll skip it this year," that ripples across social media and fuels the idea that Disney is in decline. But price isn't the only factor. Travel itself has changed. After the pandemic, people are craving variety. Cruises are booming. International travel is surging. Road trips in national parks are more popular than ever. Disney still draws millions, but it no longer has the monopoly on dream vacations. Families who once defaulted to Disney are now spreading their wings, trying new experiences. And while that doesn't mean Disney is failing, it does mean their piece of the pie feels thinner. Then there's perception. Disney, more than almost any other company, lives under the public microscope. Its choices, whether about pricing, park policies, or even movie content, ignite cultural debates. In recent years, the company has found itself caught in political crossfire. Some guests argue Disney's stances have alienated them. Others think the criticism is overblown. But in the world of social media, perception matters as much as reality. When enough people believe Disney is losing touch, that story takes on a life of its own. And yet, here's the twist. Disney's financial reports don't show decline. In fact, they show growth. In the third quarter of fiscal 2025, Disney's Experiences division, its parks, resorts, and cruises, reported $2.5 billion in operating income. That's up 13% from the same period last year. Domestic parks grew even more, with a 22% increase. Bookings for the rest of the year, up 4% for the third quarter, and 7% for the fourth. How can the parks look emptier, but be making more money than ever? The answer lies in Disney's evolving strategy. Instead of cramming as many people into the parks as possible, the company is now focused on maximizing revenue per guest. That means fewer people, but each one spending more. The parks feel more manageable. Wait times are lower, but those who are inside are dropping big money on Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, food, merchandise, and premium experiences. In other words, Disney is making just as much, if not more, with fewer bodies inside the gates. Operational changes are also playing a role in this perception shift. In the past, inflated wait times, bottlenecked walkways, and loopholes in the disability access service created the impression of crushing crowds. In 2025, those issues have been smoothed out. Disney is posting more accurate wait times. They've tightened policies around DES, and they've optimized crowd flow. The result? The same number of visitors can feel like fewer. Guests now walk away saying, "The park felt empty," when in reality, attendance hasn't meaningfully dropped at all. Still, that doesn't erase the frustration many feel with how the experience has changed. Planning a Disney trip in 2025 requires a smartphone in hand at all times. Genie Plus isn't just an upcharge, it's homework. Guests wake up early to book lightning lanes, refresh apps to snag return times, and strategize their day like chess players. What was once spontaneous and magical has become complicated and stressful. Some guests say they'd rather pay a higher ticket price than deal with constant app management. Others feel nickel and dimed, paying extra for experiences that used to be included. And this is where the narrative of decline gains traction. Because while Disney's profits are soaring, the intangible magic that defined the experience for generations feels like it's fading. The numbers say one thing. The guest sentiment says another. That's the paradox. But as if high prices, shifting expectations, and public perception weren't enough, Disney is now facing a challenge it hasn't seen in decades. Real competition. For years, Disney had Orlando practically to itself. Yes, Universal Studios was there, but it played second fiddle. In 2025, that dynamic changed forever. On May 22nd, Universal opened Epic Universe, its boldest project yet. This is not just another park. It's a game changer. Epic Universe features Super Nintendo World, dark universe built around Universal's classic monsters, a How to Train Your Dragon Land, and the stunning Celestial Hub. It's immersive, it's cutting edge, and it's drawing crowds. Comcast, Universal's parent company, reported a 19% jump in theme park revenue right after the park opened. Families who once planned 4 or 5 days at Disney are now splitting their vacations. 2 days at Disney, 2 days at Universal. For the first time in decades, Disney doesn't have Orlando to itself. Disney has publicly claimed that a rising tide lifts all boats, that more tourists in Orlando means more visitors for everyone. And there's some truth to that. But guest surveys tell a different story. Families admit they're cutting back their Disney days to fit in Epic Universe. And with prices already high, many are choosing Universal's fresh experiences over another day at Epcot or Animal Kingdom. Oh, how does Disney respond? They have options. They could rethink pricing, introducing more flexible tiers, local discounts, or evening passes to attract wider audiences. They could focus on attractions. And in fact, they already are. A reimagined test track is coming to Epcot. The new Disney Starlight Parade is debuting at Magic Kingdom. Animal Kingdom is preparing to replace Dinoland USA with a Tropical America's Land. Magic Kingdom is getting a Cars expansion that will reshape the rivers of America. These projects are ambitious. But here's the catch. Most won't be ready until 2026 or later, which means in short term, Disney has to weather the storm. They could also tackle the guest experience problem. Genie Plus and Lightning Lane may be profit drivers, but they're unpopular. Simplifying or restructuring these systems could go a long way in restoring goodwill. Because while guests will accept higher prices, there isn't friction that makes vacations feel like chores. And remember, this isn't just about parks. Disney's entire empire depends on them. Streaming is still finding its footing. Movies are hit or miss, but the parks have always been the reliable cash cow. If the perception of decline spreads too far, it risks hurting Disney's image across all its businesses. That's why CEO Bob Iger has committed $60 billion to parks over the next decade. Disney knows that to secure its future, the magic has to be rebuilt in Orlando.so. Is the magic gone? Not yet. Disney has survived recessions, global crises, even pandemics. The company always finds a way to adapt. But the era of easy dominance is over. The battle for Orlando's crown is now a duopoly, Disney versus Universal. And for the first time, the outcome isn't guaranteed. The story of Disney in 2025 isn't about collapse. It's about transformation. The parks are profitable. The crowds are still there. But the expectations, the competition, and the perception have all changed. The question is no longer whether Disney can survive. It's whether Disney can justify its prices and deliver the kind of magic that makes people believe the trip was worth it. What do you think Disney needs to do to bring back the magic? Should they lower prices? Build more lands? Scrap Genie Plus altogether? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories shaping theme parks and entertainment. Because in the battle for Orlando's crown, this is only the beginning.